there still may be a bug or two in here, so but I want to show you what I've got. So 72, 111, calculate. You see I get everything, nothing new there. But if I go to the individual stats, no, I don't know what the BMI is, but I'll have to look at that. But notice I can now go back. All right. And if I come in here again, 72, 333, calculate, and go to group stats. Well, I lost my first one. And I can go back in here too. All right. So let me first show you what I did in order to be able to go back. As you can see, the program is by no means complete. The program is by no means where I would actually want to put it out there and have people look at it. So this is what I ended up changing right here. And I'm going to give this to you, so don't worry about keying it in. But I had to put in this set on click listener. I couldn't get it to work doing buttons the way that we've been doing them. All right, so it's the name of the button, btn return to home page, dot set on click listener. What that's doing is it's very much like a click event that we had in C#. And we're saying, hey, when you click this button, we want you to start up a new on click listener. All right, so this is the routine. So I thought I could just say finish, but it didn't seem to like that. So I made another intent, and what I'm telling it here is go back to the home page. Start up that intent and finish. All right. Now, again, I should be able to get rid of this stuff and just get rid of that and get rid of that and just put in finish. That should work. I believe when I tried that earlier, it didn't work, but hey, the way with, with my luck, it'll probably work now. So we'll see. That isn't good. Well, maybe that was what happened before. It didn't lock up like that before, though. It just didn't work. All right, I'll leave it in there then. But this is again saying start up another intent and go back to the main page. And I did that here on the individual stats activity, and I also did it here on the group stats activity, and it pretty much looks the same way. All right. So now we're going to look at it. Yeah, I call that one button, return to home page. So now, for some reason, the BMI isn't showing. You probably just noticed that. All right, so let's take a look and see if we can figure out why it's not showing. BMI format, that's just the BMI, so that really shouldn't matter that I'm formatting it. I'm going to try to just put in BMI and see if it shows then. All right, I decided to just pass in the actual raw BMI because I was having problems with it. Okay, so let's do a file save, go back to the main activity, and calculate a BMI. That's it there. And then when we were passing it again, you can see one reason I had trouble, I had put int there. You may have put int on yours too, but it's a double. So it's probably not going to print. Okay? Let's see if that makes it come back. I don't know if it will or not. Okay, that's fine. Now it's saying no. That definitely isn't right. So something is goofed up there. I'm going to go and try to take a look at it in just a couple minutes. All right. Now the back does work. And notice if I go to the group stats, there's nothing in there right now. But if I go back, it again works. All right, so all of that code works. Now, what I'd like to have you try to do, and again, I'll give you a copy of this in just a second. But let me show you first a couple of the other changes, because I went through this whole thing, not exactly with a fine-tooth comb as they say, but I went through it trying to figure out places I might have missed things. I had misspellings and a bunch of other stuff in here that probably you didn't have. All right. But for instance, I know that in here, this was all fine, fine, fine. But in here, one of these, like here, I spelled this wrong. I had like calculate. So I changed it, you know what I'm saying? And when you change it here, of course, you've got to change it where you call it. Now, if you didn't spell yours wrong, you didn't have a mistake. All right? So, but there were a lot of little things like that. I went back into the activity main and changed it so it just said height and weight, so we didn't have that little bit of extra text that was hanging out in there. All right? I went in here and I did fix it, so now hopefully you noticed, at least on the individual one, it looked fine as far as the way that it was laid out on the page. All right. So this is what I would like you to do. Like I said, I'll copy this over onto your flash drive so you can take a look at it. I would like you to get yours to work. Okay. Then, and we talked about this before, I want you to go back here. And I haven't done this yet, but I see no reason why it should be any kind of trouble. I want you to come back in here, and as I mentioned, either here or down below, add another button that says show image, whatever you want it to show. Okay? Something like that. And I want you to you can do another extras if you want, or you can use the set data that was in our handout. Remember, if you're only passing one piece of data, it's data. Otherwise, typically it's a bundle like we've done. You can do it either way. You can do a bundle with just one thing. That's easier to do it that way. But one of the things, if you remember, that I gave you yesterday okay. So one of the things I gave you was this folder, the status images. All right. So again, there are different ways that you can bring these into your program. I showed you some of them. I'm going to show you what I consider to be the easiest right now. I don't remember if we brought these in. Let's check. So I'm going to go in here. I'll go back to project, open that up. Go into my drawable. And you see the only one I've got in here is BMI, okay, .jpg. So the easiest way that I can think of to do this, I'm going to shrink this down. All right. There are other ways of doing it other than what I'm showing you right now. I'm trying to show you what I consider to be the easiest way. So I'm going to highlight these four right there, and I'm going to copy them to the clipboard. All right. Then I'm going to bring this back up again. And in here, in my drawable folder right there, I'm going to right mouse click and I'm going to choose paste. Come on. All right, so it may want them one at a time. Okay, so I'll do them in whatever order they are here. So there's the obese one. All right. I'm going to grab it, and I'll try dragging it over. Right on my drawable. Let go. It says, do you want it there? Yes, I do. Refactor. There it is. So there's that one. And there's obese.jpg. Okay, I can close this. Go to my optimal weight, and I'm going to do the same thing. So right there, move it. Okay. There's my optimal weight.jpg, and you can see it there. Then I'll do the same thing with the overweight. So I've now got the overweight one in there. And finally with the underweight, and I've got the underweight in there. Okay? Now, any questions on that or how to do that? Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to copy those over. And after you do, I want you to set up a new activity. And in that new activity, you're going to, I guess, yeah, you're going to be just passing over the BMI status. Does that make sense? And then what you put on that new page, you'll have to check. And if the status is underweight, you'll put in the underweight picture, etc. Does all that make sense? Okay? So I'd like you to try to do that. Okay? If you get done with that, you might not. We've done rock, paper, scissors before, correct? I'd like you to try to do that, and try to do that as an Android app. Now, one thing about doing that as an Android app, what you might want to consider. If you look in here, if we go to buttons, you'll notice there's an image button. It would be kind of nice if you had a rock image, a paper scissors, a paper image, and a scissors image. Does that make sense? All right. And what I like is for you to set it up the same way as this one in that. All right. You play against the computer, so you'll have to generate a random number between 1 and 3 for the computer type of thing. Again, we've done this before. All right. And then when you click calculate, put a toast down here that says who won. That makes sense? Then just have one extra page. Just one extra page where you'll have total number of computer wins, total number of user wins, total number of ties. And you'll have another button, a regular button in here that says something like show stats or whatever you want. Does all that make sense? I'm going to be writing this myself. I've got an old copy. Screw it. I'm just going to throw it away, and I'm going to start brand new myself right over here. All right? And this, for lack of better words, is kind of going to be a pre-test for you. All right? And what I have for you, and I can hand this out right now. This will be your next assignment. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm not going to give it out because it says due February 7th, 2020. Okay, it's an old one. But, again, you're going to be doing two things on this next assignment. You're going to be creating the equivalent of a very simple resume for yourself app, and then you're going to be adding to the guessing game app. Okay? And I'm going to give you the rest of the period today to work on the stuff we were talking about. I'll fix this, rerun this, and then I'm going to give you, I guess, the rest of the week to work on this stuff. All right? Questions? Okay. Those instructions I just gave you for the BMI one and the rock paper scissors, do you need those typed up? Okay, because I'll see if I've got them someplace. All right. Right. Okay. Let me. So I am making this an exercise, is what I called it. All right. And as you can see, for the BMI program, fix any errors you may have in the program. And again, I'll give you a copy of what I just showed you, including try to make the app completely operational. So if you don't put any height or weight in, you've got that toast that shows. If you put in out of range height, you have that out of range height toast that shows. Weight, same thing for the out of range weight. Show the correct BMI on both the main page in that toast and on the IND stats activity page. Now mine wasn't showing. I'm going to go look at it right now. Also show the correct stats on that group page. All right. Any questions on that? All right. And I will look at it. If I find something that I gave you that was incorrect or whatever, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. All right. Copy over, as it says, the underweight, optimal weight, overweight, and obese images from what you were given yesterday. You just saw me do that. All right. Add a new activity. I called mine BMI status activity. You can call it whatever you want, but it should be something that ends with activity. It should have actually 3 components on it, not 2, so you can change this one. And what's the third one? I'm just going to copy it from right here. If you want, I can print it off again. I don't really feel like it, but I don't care. All right, so it should have those 2 things plus just a button that when clicked goes back to the main activity. All right. So you can add that one. This is what I just added, Keegan, just so you see this too. That's what I just added. All right. And then update the main activity.java file because it's got to be able to handle that new screen that you're going to put in. Okay. Again, you can use a bundle class to pass the status over, update the status code so that you handle the intent from the main activity. Any questions on that one? All right. For the rock, paper, scissors game, again, I did this quickly. It's you against the computer. In the main activity, you should have a title and image view. Use a GIF so it actually looks like it's moving. I showed you a couple of those. There's nothing special you have to do. Just make sure that the one that you choose is a GIF. And it'll automatically, do this or do whatever. So, all right. And I will see, too, if I can find that rock. Because I like that one image that I have. And if I have it, I can send it to you. So the computer will pick a random number. 1 represents rock, 2 represents paper, 3 represents scissors. All right. As it says, you should not show what the computer has picked until you picked. Does that make sense? We don't want it set up so you can cheat. All right. Keep track of all wins, ties, etc. If you each pick rock, each pick paper, or each pick scissors, it's tie, so increment a tie counter. Then I put what I thought were all the other possibilities. I'm not going to read those. You probably know how to play the game. And if you don't, I think it's right. Then add an additional activity. I call mine RPS activity that lets you go to a new screen. Title on it. Define the title in strings.xml and use that way. And make sure that it's got a multi-line text view. Remember that was lines, and I think max lines was the other one. All right. And that should hold the overall score. So total number of ties, total number of computer wins, total number of user wins, however you want to set that up. And again, a button that goes back to the main activity. I think if you've got that done, and I'm not saying you can get all that done today, but just do what you can do. All right? And I'll give you some time to work on it tomorrow also. Again, I am going to update your next homework, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. Now, do I have it here, or is it the other one? So as of right now, as far as, let's see, I don't know what the heck happened to it, but well, that's fine. So we'll put it here. AWD1112, Java, Android programming. So again, this will be homework number 2. And it'll be worth 100 points. In other words, 50 points each because there's 2 problems. And it'll be due by the end of class 3:55 p.m. We'll make it Tuesday that you come back. So remember, there's no class that Monday. So if you would need it, just so you know, don't work anymore. We did the BMI one. You both worked on the calculator. All right, I just gave you credit for it. So you can go on to this, what we're doing now. So 3:55 p.m. Tuesday, and I believe that's the 16th. Double check. That'd be 2 weeks from today, right? Yep, the 16th. So 2/6/16/2021. All right. Oops, ZB. Try that again. And just so you see it, you're going to have this rubric for virtually every one of these that you work on. Okay? So as it says, 25 points. Well, we're going to make that. All right, we'll make it 25 points each. You know what? I'm going to make it 50. I like it better that way. So, as it says here, for each app, the 25 points for each app in what's shown below. All right. So for the second one, number 1, 50 points for everything that's shown there. Again, I'll fix this up. But here's the first one. I'll just show them to you quickly. So as it says, create an Android app called Resume. And what I'd like is for it to basically look like this, not have that guy's picture on it, but just have a title that says Resume and have your picture on it, okay? And a work history, education, a call me, and an email me. With the call me and the email me, I'm going to give you that code, so don't worry about it. I will tell you, to my knowledge, the call me won't work from the emulator. All right? So, like I said, I'll give you that code, but by Friday, I'll have to remember to do this. So when I go and get your machine, I'll go in there and I'll go get the two tablets. All right? And again, I don't know if they're able to place calls from there, but you could technically, like, you could download it and do a call me and try to call your own phone. You know what I'm saying? And the email me, it's not, neither one of those are hard. And I want it to be real information. So in other words, it's something that you could potentially put out there. So my hope is this is going to be one of the ones that you're going to save and you're going to link to when you're doing your profile at the end of the semester. Does that make sense? All right, so that's the first one. And again, all the instructions will be in there. I'll double check to make sure they look okay. And then you are to go back to the guessing game app that you did before. So none of this in here is new. So all that stuff is the same thing, but this is what will be new in here. So you will add, notice in here, whoops, you'll have a rank and a totals, which you don't have right now. The rank will be based on the number of guesses you have. It's all in here. So it's like if you get it in one guess, it'll come up and you should have an image that comes up and it says you're a pro. Does that make sense? All right, and if it's within another range, it'll come up and it says you're average. And another one will say you're a novice. I mean, you shouldn't make it with anything that's insulting for what, you know. And then this totals will be the same kind of thing. What you will do is you will show the total number of, you know, so this will be an image in here, and you'll have some kind of a heading and a return. And then this will be your totals, some kind of a heading, and a return. Does that make sense? So I'll double check this real quick, and then I want to go back and see if I can fix any errors I may have in the BMI program, and then I'm going to give you each the copy. Questions? All right. You should at least have plenty to get going, I would think. All right. If I can get about 5 minutes of your time. This works, but I had to put, I don't know if you've ever heard of a kludge. It's like I put something in to force it to work. Okay, so when I run this now, it does work. However, you're going to see that my buttons, where I put the finish in there, you know, what they call that intent back, that's not working. And according to this, now I looked at the same code that I did years ago, and I don't think they changed the activity life cycle in here. But when you call finish, or when you start a new activity, you know, bring that activity back, it flushes everything that was out of there. So all of my totals get flushed every time. Now, if I do come in here, 72, 111, okay, and I click calculate, that's correct. And when I click here, now I disable this button, but you can see that that is correct. All right, that wasn't correct before, but now you've got to hit the back button here. And if I click my group status, that's correct, because I had one underweight person. All right, but again, I've got to click this. All right, so if I come in there again, I'm just going to do one of each. 66, calculate. I'm not even going to print it out. It's not going to matter. 99, calculate. 333, calculate. I'm going to do this one twice. All right, so I've got that in there twice, and you'll notice now all my totals are correct. But when I try doing this, if I either start a new activity or if I tell it to do finish, what it does is it destroys this activity, which has got those values in there. Now there is an on save state we're going to get to later. All right, and I've already been looking at that to try to fix it. But the point is, I'm going to give this to you now. It works, but this button, I totally disabled it. All right. Now, one thing that you're going to see on the homework, all right, and we're not talking about the homework yet, but we will. I just want to show you this. Think about this. So let's just say I just started running this application. First time ever. Okay? In fact, let's bring it up. So I guess I still have it here. So first time ever I'm running this application. Okay? Technically, the individual stats and the group stats buttons should both be disabled because there are no stats. Does that make sense? So until when I click the calculate button, right? So once I click that and it works, then I should be enabling this and enabling this. Does that make sense? All right. And if you look in here, so if I do highlight, bring up this one, and I'll highlight this button, and you'll notice there is an enabled property in here that I purposely have set to false. Now you can also do that in code. So right now, what I have works. That's the good news. Bad news is it doesn't work the way I want it to work, but it does work. So you've got to hit the back button. I don't like that. I want there to be a way to be able to move from screen to screen and keep the data without having to hit the back button. Does that make sense? And it'll all involve saving this state. But for some reason, when I've tried, that's what I've been doing for the last umpteen minutes, is going out to Stack Overflow and the like. And there's probably a much easier way to do it, but I haven't found it yet. All right. So the other thing too is, just so you know, I'm going to give you this, and it's got all the code in it. Would you rather have this? I mean, I don't really want to print out the code because it's a lot to print out. But if you bring it up, like I said, it didn't work on this machine. But you can still bring up the files like in Notepad++ or something if you need to see them. Does that make sense? All right. So if you have your flash drives, I'll just throw them on. Unless you don't want it. And it's called BMI02. So just so you both hear this, the one I copied yesterday has got the same name as the one today. So I changed the one from yesterday to BMI02-old, and the new one, the one that works now, that's been updated, is BMI02. So you'll both have it. Whether you're ready for this or not, I'm going to show it to you anyway. So I've added the button. So 72, 111, calculate. You can see that it's underweight here. Show image, underweight. Let's try an optimal weight person. Let's try an overweight person. And finally, let's try an obese person. Now, by no means is that fantastic. Notice in this one, I did not put the button in there. Okay, so again, you have to go back this way. Come on. And the group stats, they are working. The individual stats, got the last one only. So is it great? No, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? And just to show you this, I mean, I know I've done this before, but I was out Googling because it's been a while. So I want to just show you quickly how I did this. In the main activity.java, I was going to do it one way, then I just totally shoved that and I threw it out. This was when I was having the problems before, as far as my totals disappearing. I thought, well, I want to know if they're being sent. So in the clear view, I printed out, the clear button, I printed out all my totals. I left that in there so it's on yours, but it's commented out. Okay. So let me get down to the bottom here where it is. Show individual stats, show group stats, and show image. I did a bundle, but I only put one thing in it. Probably should have used that set data thing that was in our book, but I just did it like that. So it's the status that I passed. And I said, put string BMI status, call this image activity. That's what I call the new page. All right. Attach the bundle, start the activity. So nothing else new there. And literally, this code that's right here, other than the name of the class or the activity I'm calling, that's exactly the same for all three. All right. Then in the image activity, I came in here and I put in the title, made sure I put in a string for it, etc. Put in this, which was just a starting, so if anybody got there accidentally, it would just show that picture. And then this, and I made this bigger, the actual status, I made that 36. All of them I set up so that there were no constraints. Then in the image activity, either what I did was really cool or, but I came in here and I said, okay, here's the text view. Here is that image view. When you want to actually work with images, you use what's called the Drawable Resource. I don't expect that to make any sense to you because we haven't really talked about images yet. But I took this right from Stack Overflow. But I said drawable, and I set it equal to null. Then this right here is the actual status that I'm passing in. All right. Then I set both of these up. So these are my find by view by IDs. This, again, is exactly the same as what we had in the other ones. And this became real simple. Just said if I have a BMI status, pass it in. That's it. Does that make sense? And then I did a switch on that status. If it's underweight, I told it to go out and get the drawable, r.drawable. See, notice it's not r.ID, it's r.drawable. So it's telling it to go into the drawable and I'm telling it to find either underweight, optimal weight, overweight, or obese. Does that make sense? And set drawable in any case. Then when you're all done, then actually fill up the image view with that drawable. Does that make a little bit of sense? And then set the text. So this, this said overweight, underweight, etc. All right. All right. What I'm going to do, rather than just grabbing your thing and copying it all the time, I'm going to throw this out on the on what I've put out there for out on GitHub. All right, because there's a thing out there called BMI already, so I'm going to add this to it. Does that all make sense? All right. I'm going to have to look at that save instance state because there is a way to do what I want to do. I just right now don't remember what it is. So that's on me.